We leave Washington Journal and take you live now to Franklin, Indiana for the campaign rally with Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz. Live coverage right here on C-SPAN.
This next election is going to focus on three critical issues: jobs, freedom, and security. Let's start with jobs. I want to take a minute and talk to all the single moms who are here, who are working 2 and 3 part-time jobs, whose senior hours forcibly reduced to 28, 29 hours a week because Obamacare kicks in at 30 hours a week. I want to talk to all the truck drivers, all the plumbers and mechanics, all the coal miners and union members, all the working men and women with calluses on your hands, who've seen wages stagnate year after year. Cost of living keeps going up, and yet somehow your paycheck doesn't seem to keep pace. I want to talk to all the young people. And Hillary, Bernie, take a look at all the young people. This is not your father's GOP. I want to talk to all the young people coming out of school, buried in student loans, scared. Can I find a job? What does the future hold for me? And you know, the media, they try to tell us this is the new normal. This is as good as it gets. Well, let me tell you, that is a complete and utter lie. You know, it's easy to talk about making America great again. You could even print that on a baseball cap. But the real question is, do you understand the principles and values that made America great in the first place? The heart of our economy is not Washington, D.C. The heart of our economy is small businesses all across the United States of America. And if you want to see the economy take off, you take the boot of the federal government off the back of the necks of small businesses. Ronald Reagan, and before him, JFK, both understood that when you cut taxes and lift regulations on small businesses, you get millions and millions of new jobs. I intend to follow the path blazed by Ronald Reagan and JFK. We're going to reduce Washington and grow jobs all across this country. If I'm elected president, we will repeal every word of Obamacare. Obamacare is the biggest job killer in America, and in its place, we're going to pass common sense health care reform that makes health insurance personal and portable and affordable and keeps government from getting in between you and your doctor. And we're going to pass a simple flat tax. one of us can fill out our taxes on a postcard. And when we do that, we should abolish the IRS. We're going to rein in the EPA. And the federal regulators who have descended like locusts on farmers and ranchers and small businesses, killing jobs all across this country. We are going to end the Obama administration's war on coal. And we are going to develop our energy and be energy independent so we don't send billions to nations that hate us. And we're going to stop amnesty and secure the borders and end sanctuary cities and end welfare benefits for those here illegally. Let me tell you what's going to happen when we do all of that. We're going to see millions and millions of new high-paying jobs. We're going to see jobs coming back from China, coming back from Mexico. We're going to see wages rising again. We're going to see manufacturing jobs coming back to the state of Indiana. We're going to see young people coming out of school with 2, 3, 4, 5 job offers. You know, one of my favorite movies of all time is Hoosiers. And before I got here, I went online and did a little bit of Googling, looking at lines from that movie. One of the better lines: "Look, mister, there's two kinds of dumb. Guy that gets naked and runs out in the snow and barks at the moon, and the guy who does the same thing in my living room. First one don't matter. The second one, you're kind of forced to deal with." Let me tell you, the federal government, the regulators have become the man buck naked barking at the moon in your living room, and we're going to deal with it by reducing Washington and unleashing the Hoosier state. The second critical issue in this election is freedom. Past several weeks, the passing of Justice Scalia underscored for all of us the stakes of this election. It's not just one, but two branches of the federal government that hang in the balance. If you value religious liberty, the right to live according to your faith and your conscience, the right of every one of us to seek out and worship God Almighty without government getting in the way. If you value the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms and protect your family, then we are just one liberal justice away from a radical 5-justice majority that would strip away those rights and the rest of the rights in the Bill of Rights of Americans all across this country. Now, you know, a couple of debates ago, Hugh Hewitt asked all of us about religious liberty and the Supreme Court. And Donald Trump turned to me and he said, "Ted, I've known a lot more politicians than you have." Well, in that, he is clearly correct. Donald Trump has been supporting liberal Democrats for 40 years. I have no experience with that. But Donald continued, he said, "Ted, when it comes to the Supreme Court, when it comes to religious liberty," he said, "Ted, you gotta learn to compromise. You gotta learn to cut deals with the Democrats and to go along to get along." Well, let me be very, very clear to the men and women of Indiana. I will not compromise away your religious liberty. Compromise away your Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. You know, last week, Donald Trump went on the Today Show. And on that show, he agreed with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama that a grown man should be able to use the little girl's restroom. Now listen, I don't think this is an issue of left or right or Democrat or Republican. This is an issue of basic common sense. I am the father of 2 young girls, and it is basic common sense that a grown adult man, a stranger, should not be alone in a restroom with a little girl. Says differently, that's just political correctness on steroids. Now, Donald told us a couple of months ago he could, quote, be the most politically correct person on earth. Well, I guess he was illustrating just what that would look like. And I gotta say, our friends in the media find this a very, very complicated issue to understand, so let me help make it a little simpler. If Donald Trump dresses up as Hillary Clinton, he still can't use the girls' restroom. And I apologize for implanting that image to haunt you later tonight. You know, Donald in a bright blue pantsuit is a bit much. The third issue at stake in this election is security. For 7 years, we've seen a president who abandons our friends and allies and who shows weakness and appeasement to our enemies. Now, once again, 2 debates ago, Donald Trump explained, he said if he were president, he would be neutral between Israel and the Palestinians. Well, let me be very clear. As president, I will not be neutral. Will stand unapologetically with the nation of Israel. anyone who can't tell the difference between our friends and our enemies, anyone who can't tell the difference between Israel and Islamic terrorists who want to kill us, that raises real questions about their fitness and judgment to be commander-in-chief. For 7 years, we have seen our military weakened, our readiness undermined, morale of the troops plummet. And you know, as a nation, this is not the first time we've seen this. We've seen another liberal Democratic president, Jimmy Carter, weaken and undermine the military. And then in January 1981, Ronald Reagan came into office. Reagan cut taxes, he lifted regulations. We saw millions and millions of new high-paying jobs that generated trillions in new revenue for the federal government, and he used that revenue to rebuild the military, to bankrupt the Soviet Union, and to win the Cold War. Do the exact same thing with radical Islamic terrorism. We're going to repeal Obamacare, pass a flat tax, rein in the regulators, stop amnesty, and that's going to create millions and millions of new high-paying jobs, new manufacturing jobs, raising wages all across this country. That's going to generate trillions in new revenue for the federal government, and we will use that revenue to rebuild our military so it remains the mightiest fighting force on the face of the planet. We will have a commander-in-chief who stands up and says to the world, we will defeat radical Islamic terrorism. We'll have a president willing to utter the words, radical Islamic terrorism. One of the saddest things we've seen over the last 7 years has been this president sending our fighting men and women into combat with rules of engagement so strict that their arms are tied behind their backs, that they cannot fight, they cannot win, they cannot defeat the enemy. That is wrong. It is immoral. And mark my words, in January 2017, it will end. Soldier and sailor and airman and marine, and for that matter to every police officer and firefighter and first responder. No longer will you have a president who mocks and ridicules your service. Instead, you will have the thanks of a grateful nation and a commander-in-chief who's got your back. So let's talk a little politics. This past year has been an interesting year. Hadn't been boring. You know, we started the race with 17 candidates on the Republican side, an amazingly talented, diverse, young, dynamic field. What a contrast with the Democrats. You know, the Democratic field consists of a wild-eyed socialist with ideas that are dangerous for America and the world, and Bernie Sanders. But over the course of the year, the primary did what it's supposed to do. It narrowed the field. As we stand here today, there are two and only two people who have any plausible path to winning the Republican nomination. Me and Donald Trump. And you know what we are seeing nationally? Is nationally 65 to 70% of Republicans, they recognize that Donald Trump is not the best candidate to go head-to-head with Hillary Clinton. By double digits. Let me tell you how bad it is. A few weeks ago in the state of Utah, bright red Utah, they did general election polling. Hillary is beating Donald Trump in Utah. If the Republican cannot win the most conservative state in the union, we're looking at a Walter Mondale level bloodbath nationwide. That means we lose the Senate, we may lose the House, we lose the Supreme Court, we lose the Bill of Rights, our kids are buried in trillions more in debt, and we remain trapped in the same economic stagnation of the last 7 years. On the other hand, if I'm the nominee, we beat Hillary Clinton. We beat her in the key swing states. We beat her with independents. And get this, right now, we are leading Hillary Clinton with young people by double digits. The eyes of the country are on the state of Indiana. Indiana has a national platform, a national podium, and an opportunity to make a choice. Do we want to get behind and nominate a campaign and a candidate that is based on yelling and screaming and cursing and insulting everyone? Or do we want to continue to unify behind a positive, optimistic, forward-looking, conservative campaign? Based on real policy solutions to the problems facing this country. You know, last night, John Kasich announced that he was pulling out of the state of Indiana. He's focusing his attention on other states. What that means is that Indiana gets a straight and direct choice between our campaign and Donald Trump. For those supporters of John Kasich, either here or at home, there may be issues on which we disagree, but more unites us. If you don't want to see Donald Trump as the nominee, if you don't want to see Hillary Clinton as the next president, then I ask you to join us, because this is the only campaign that can and will beat Donald Trump and then Hillary Clinton. You know, it's been 46 days since we had the last Republican debate. 46 days. The Democrats have debated. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders think enough of the voters to be willing to subject themselves to the people and have a debate, and they're scheduling a second debate. Is Donald here in the background? You know, Donald is very, very fond of telling all of us how big and tough and strong he is. If he's so big and tough and strong, he should demonstrate it. Come to Indiana. Let's have a debate in Indiana. Finds Megyn Kelly very, very frightening. So if the moderators scare you, let's have a town hall with the questions from Hoosiers asking the questions the American people want to know the answers to. There's a reason Donald doesn't want to debate. Because he can't answer those questions. He has no answer. How do you bring jobs back to America beyond just printing it on a baseball cap? The key to jobs, as I explained, man, jobs come from small businesses, which produce 2/3 of all the new jobs in our economy. The way you turn around jobs is you reduce the burdens on small businesses, the taxes, the regulations. Donald Trump, however, agrees with Hillary Clinton that we should raise taxes. That kills jobs. Donald Trump has proposed a 40% tariff, which is a tax on all of you. I think raising your taxes by 40% would kill jobs all across this country. And Donald Trump supports the individual mandated Obamacare, just like Hillary Clinton. Those kill jobs. And Donald can't explain it. So he won't stand on that stage, and he won't show the respect that the men and women of Indiana deserve. This is a basic choice. It's a choice that's going to make a difference for Indiana. It's going to make a difference. Actually, Carrier, that's a very good example. So, ma'am, the young lady in front asked about Carrier. Carrier left this country because the Obama administration drove Carrier out. It put onerous taxes and regulations. The Department of Energy issued over 200 rules and regulations, some 50 of which directly impacted Carrier. Now let's talk about solutions to Carrier, because Donald has an answer. Donald's answer is the same as Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's, which is Donald said, I'm going to punish Carrier. I'm going to use the force of the federal government to punish any company that flees the regulations of the federal government. That's exactly what Barack Obama says. It's exactly what Hillary Clinton says. That's what big government liberals do. They use the power of government to punish you if they don't like what you're doing. Here's what I'm going to do for Carrier. Here's what I'm going to do for Carrier. We're going to pass a flat tax, lift the regulations, lift the burdens that drove them overseas, and in a few years, Carrier and companies all over the world are going to be coming back to America, not because some bully threatened them, but because we created the most attractive, job-creating environment on the face of the earth. But I will say, ma'am, I respect the fact that you came here and are asking these questions, and I'll point out you are showing more courage in doing that than Donald Trump is willing to do. He could present his side, but the people here scare him, and he thinks staying in Trump Tower and letting the mainstream media say, oh, the race is over. Have you noticed the excitement of the media that Donald won New York? He won his home state. Manhattan has spoken. Everyone give up and go home. And there is a reason the network executives at the mainstream media, they are all liberal Democrats. They are ready for Hillary. They want Donald Trump to be the nominee because they know Donald Trump is the one person on the face of the earth that Hillary can beat. But the beauty of it is, the media is not going to decide this race. The people are going to decide this race. And so I want to ask everyone here. I want to ask everyone here. If you don't want to see Hillary Clinton as the next president, if you want to see jobs and freedom and security, if you want to get back to our founding principles, if you want to expand opportunity, hold on 1 second. Let's hold this for a second. Here, clear out some space, please. Do we have a paramedic back there, please? Can you bring a paramedic, please? Take your time, ma'am. Take your time. Take your time. Relax. Here, put something under her head. T-shirt. Cruz, give me a minute. All right, a round of applause for the young lady. She heard the words Hillary Clinton is next president. She just fainted. Look, I agree it's terrifying, but the good news is it ain't gonna happen. You don't want to see it happen, then I want to ask each and every one of you, a week from tomorrow, on Election Day here in Indiana, come out and vote for me 10 times. Now look, we're not Democrats. I'm not suggesting voter fraud. But if every one of you picks up the phone and you call 9 other people and you get 9 other people to come out and vote on Election Day, you will have voted 10 times. And let me tell you, maybe you're not yet old enough to vote. If you get 10 other people to vote on Election Day, you will have voted 10 times before you turn 18. That's how we win. It is a choice for each of us. It is a choice for the men and women here. It is a choice for we, the people. The focus of this race is on unity. Of the 17 candidates who started this race, 5 have endorsed this campaign. We've been endorsed by Rick Perry and Lindsey Graham and Jeb Bush and Scott Walker and Carly Fiorina. And when you throw into the mix Mike Lee and Glenn Beck and Mark Levin, then you've got the full spectrum of the Republican Party coming together and uniting. If we unite as a party, we will win this nomination. And if we unite as a country, we will win the general election. We will beat Hillary Clinton. We will turn the country around. It took Jimmy Carter to give us Ronald Reagan. And I am convinced the most long-lasting legacy of Barack Obama is going to be a new generation of leaders in the Republican Party who stand and fight for liberty, who stand and fight for the Constitution, and who stand